Hi folks, welcome back to the Hoard. So let me show you what I'm up to today. You guys remember the Lakota, and one of the reasons why I was kind of avoiding working on it is I was thinking I was going to completely have to tear the engine out of this thing and you know, have it on a bench and then order parts, and it would take a while for the parts to come in and all of that. So I managed to kind of clean up the Hoard a little bit, enough that I felt like I could get started and see what the thing looked like, and then from depending on what it looked like, I can make a decision where to go, how to go forward. This cover here goes right over that, and you can see obviously I took all the plastic off and took that cover off, and now I'm looking at the timing, and let me just show you something. Just a quick review. I don't remember the year offhand. I'll put it in the title. But this thing came in as seized. Right, it was completely seized. And it turns up, once I got the recoil off, I was able to rotate this to a certain amount. And then it felt like it hit something. And it took, you know, took a little thinking, and with some of you guys' input, it was like, oh yeah, probably it jumped time. And then if you look at the timing chain right here, right, you could see, like, you're not supposed to have that kind of play on the timing chain. The timing chain adjuster is right there, and I'm going to have to spend a few minutes looking at it. The timing chain doesn't look too bad. It looks like it wraps pretty tight around the gear. I don't know how well I'm showing this to you. It doesn't, what you do is you get to the far side and you see how bunched up it is, and considering how loose it is, it really doesn't look bunched up. What I need to do is go inside, and you see it says that cam sprocket is set up for a couple of different bikes, right? And if you look here on the bottom, it might be upside down, but you can see the 300. Anyway, what I need to do is find out where this needs to be for things to be timed up properly. One just doesn't want to willy-nilly start spinning things around, because what you do is, especially if you put a wrench on it, you'll smash the valves up more than they may already be smashed up. So you take these covers off. That's for one valve, that's for the other valve here, and you loosen the valves up nice and loose so that you can basically turn this and the valves don't open. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to attempt to get it back into time, or set up such that it's more or less in time. And I'm going to have to basically, I want to get the valves closed, as in really closed, and then I'm going to undo this, and then I'm going to get this up to top dead center. I'm going to make sure I'm timed properly, right? You kind of look through this hole here, and you can see the notch right there, right? And you kind of get the marks on the flywheel lined up to that notch, and you get the marks on this thing lined up to the notch. And I have to go inside and look at the book and figure, where the notch is not apparent. I'm expecting to see the notch up on top here somewhere, and I'm not seeing it. So on the Honda, the notch is up on top, and once again, you guys could see as I'm kind of showing you guys, I mean, you got a bunch of little engraving things there, but I'm not seeing the notch. So, or maybe depending on which one of these, it could be a different one of these things on the side. Anyway, I have to go check the book. I got to go check a manual to see where it is. So I'm going to get this thing such that the valves are closed by loosening those, taking these things off, loosening the valves up. Then I'm going to rotate it around such that the valves are closed, and that's going to show me where the mark is on this guy, and hopefully it's going to be right where it needs to be. Then obviously my engine's going to be out of time, the bottom end's going to be out of time. I'm going to loosen this up such that this is spinning. I'm going to rotate it so that the engine's back in time, and then I'm going to basically move the sprocket such that it goes back on here, right? The valves are in time, the engine's in time, and now it's just a matter of getting the sprocket put into the right place so that it's in time. And I'm going to mess around with this chain adjuster and see what's cooking. If I'm like the luckiest man in the world, I mean like lotto ticket winning lucky, even though the engine's, I'm not able to run it through a full stroke, right? Now, once I get it into time, I'll be able to do that. And if I have compression and all, that'll indicate that the valves have not been damaged. That makes me the luckiest man in the world. My anticipation is I'm going to time it up. I'm going to realize that one of the valves is hit and it's doing a leak by, and that means the head has to come off. The second good thing about this bike is these bolts that hold the head on, the 4 of them, are not, these are bolts, not nuts, so to speak. On the Hondas, they have long, I'm going to use the word shaft, threaded rod, whatever you want to do, that go from the block all the way up here. And that means you really can't get the head off because you got to lift this above and off of it. I'm hoping that if I get this motor mount out of here, right, and the motor mount bolts to the frame, if I get those bolts off, these bolts, the carburetor off, that then I could just take the head right out the side here without pulling the entire engine. That'll save me a lot of pain and suffering. I'm not thinking that I'm going to get this. I don't know, quite honestly. Maybe the head will come off today, maybe not. It really kind of depends on what goes on with those exhaust bolts down there, whether they break loose with it fairly easily or not. I have to tell you something else. I really wish before I took this off the truck that I had brought it to the local car wash and just blasted the heck out of it. I mean, look at this. This was a well-used bike. Now, once again, to just remind you guys, my son lives near Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and this was a Craigslist deal. I guess he got it for like $240, $250, something like that, and he gave guys some of the hard cider he makes. It came in and I got it loosened up. I put a tube in one of the front tires, which makes it a little easier to roll about. And this is the second Lakota in my fleet. The first Lakota I actually brought out to my son's house and replaced it with and dropped it off, and then I brought this Lakota home. I like the Lakota because I like the idea of a recoil starter plus the electric starter. I like that a lot. I like it that it's a sport utility, but it's not a lightweight. It's it's kind of a heavier bike. It's got the 300 cc's, which will move it about, but it's heavy enough. It's got a thick enough frame where it could actually do some of the utility work. It could actually, it has racks front and back, and it could actually pull a nice load. It's able to do that. So even though it's not a Honda, when this thing is fixed, unless once again some unbelievable deal comes by, you know, somebody offers me something crazy for it, I'm probably keeping this. This'll be one of the keepers in the Hoard. Oh, just quickly, this is the front plastic that I picked up at the swap meet, and it actually goes on there pretty good. It's sitting, there's some brackets here that need to be drilled and bolted or altered, and this could actually slide back and it goes right on there. It actually looks like it's working pretty good. And normally the front plastics are a little bit of the harder one to fit on that. So I have some other plastic over there in the shed, in the canvas shed, and particularly there's some Yamaha Warrior plastic. It's kind of purple, kind of ugly, but I'm thinking that might just easily go on the back. So with the combo, and then what I could do is I could paint the orange stuff and the purple stuff, just paint it one color, whatever that is. I don't know, perhaps Honda red, and actually throw some plastic on there that'll look halfway decent. So just another consideration. I haven't done anything yet, so we'll have to see what it, other than throw that orange fender on it. So we'll have to see how it works out. Anyway, guys, keep your fingers crossed. We'll see how this thing turns out for me. I'm kind of doing it in steps, right? Taking a few minutes to turn the camera on as I'm working through it. So some of you folks could kind of see the trials and tribulations, and you know, could kind of, if you end up with the problem I did, you could kind of give it a look. Also, if you hear the chain slapping around, and this must have been making quite a bit of slapping sound there, you really kind of want to do something about that. If maybe I'll show it to you later. If I actually put a flashlight to it, you could see a little bit of wear on the inside where the chain, it had to be making noise, especially at an idle. You know, and if you kind of just tap the throttle a little bit, you would actually, and let it go quickly, I'm sure you would hear the chain rattling about. Supposedly, this thing was sitting in a shed, and the guy started it up, and he was going to take it out, and he went to get something, he came back, and it wouldn't start, and it wouldn't turn over again. He was using the recoil because the battery was dead, and it wouldn't turn over again. So it's possible if it was at a if it was sitting there idling and it stalled. Sometimes when they stall, they do a little kickback thing. If it stalled and threw the chain, then he went to pull start it, and he ran up against the valve and he couldn't pull it any further. It's possible that I don't have any damage up on top, right? It's possible that I am the luckiest guy in the world. Probable not, but possible yes. So we'll see. Guys, keep your fingers crossed for me. Anyway, I want to thank you all for watching and commenting and subscribing, getting into a little engine work for you guys to look at. Remember to keep your feet down, keep your head up, and get out there and enjoy all your days. Bye now.